In this video, I'm going to show two different ways that you can create a stepped chamfer. So let's take a look at how we can do this. So I was working on a project and it required this feature right here where you see like a small chamfer that goes all the way across and then this larger chamfer that's kind of made in between the middle of that. And I was like, well, this would be a good video on how did I go about creating that. And there's actually, probably multiple different ways you could do this, but I'm going to show two different ways. One is faster than the other, and I'm going to start with that example first. So I'm going to keep it simple. We're just going to start with a cube like this, and we're going to put that chamfer along this edge. So what I'm going to do is basically create some offset planes. So I'm going to pre-select this front face, right mouse click and say offset plane. And let's just go in the negative direction, 10 millimeters in this case. I'm going to repeat just by right mouse clicking and dragging straight up. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select that back face and drag in this direction, and let's go -10 in that direction. So you can kind of see I have these two planes. Now, if I were to just click this edge and create a chamfer, it's going to want to, chamfer that whole edge. Well, so what I want to do is basically break this edge. And to do that, I'm just going to split this body. So I'm going to come in here and say split body. What's the body to split? And then I'm going to use those planes as my splitting tools. And I can actually select both of them at the same time. Now, yes, it's going to split my body into three separate bodies. You can see that here. But now you'll notice that this is its own edge, this is its own edge, etc. So for example, I can now select this middle edge, say chamfer, and let's make that a 4 millimeter chamfer. And you can see it's only going to go the length of that edge. And I can also select the other edges in this one chamfer feature. So for example, if I select this little plus symbol, I can now come in and select these two other edges and make those 2 millimeters. And so you can see we're basically doing two selection sets. One of them is this first edge at 4 millimeters, and the second selection set is the outer edges at 2 millimeters. And I'll go ahead and say OK. And then I'm just going to combine these bodies back together. Yeah, as a join, I'll say OK. And you can see that this is now all back to one body. And then the last thing that I did is I just selected these edges here. I'll go ahead and say fillet. Select both those edges. And I did a 2 millimeter fillet to blend those in. And all that really is basically, two planes. And then we split the body, one chamfer command, and then we combined them back together. Now the other method, I'll just flip to the other side, is to use a sketch and to create a profile. So I'll go ahead and turn the construction planes back on. And in this case, you only need one plane. So I just created an offset plane, 10 millimeters. And I'm going to go ahead and create a sketch on that plane. I'll go ahead and project the geometry of that face. And then I'm just going to draw a line like so. Now I want to go ahead and dimension that to make sure it's precise. And let's make that 4 millimeters. And then I'll do the same thing from that point to that point there. And I want it to be the same, so I could type in 4, or I'm going to go ahead and click on this existing dimension, and it's going to reference that dimension. And you'll notice it says fx, and that means it's a function. So for example, if I were to change that to 6, you'll notice that that also changes to 6. So it's kind of a cool way to make dimensions equal each other. So I now have my line the correct size, and then I can come in and select my profile. We'll just extrude that profile. Let's just say minus 30 millimeters in this case, and I'll say okay. And I basically used the profile to cut that region away. And then all I have to do is come in here and add my chamfer 2 millimeters like so, and then my fillet like so to get my 2 millimeter fillet. And you'll notice we get the same result. Now I personally like the splitting the body one better because the chamfer is all one command, where this is, basically an extrude cut is one feature, and then the chamfer is a secondary feature. But you are having to split the body into, multiple pieces to do that. So there's pros and cons with both methods. So that's how I went about making this stepped chamfer on this part. I hope you found that video useful. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe and share it with others. And as always, have fun learning Fusion. And see you next time.